I froze this $100 watch for 3 whole days. Then I slammed it on the concrete. But before we get to that, I also gave it a mud bath and ran it over with the car twice. This is a military homage watch from a Chinese watchmaker, Baltany, and I wanted to see how tough this thing really is. Here is what it looked like before. And let's see what's left of it now. Hi guys, my name is Islam, and before we get on with this review, I have posted the giveaway results on my community post. The winner, please reach out to me so I can get this watch to you. I plan to do the next giveaway for the subscriber milestone at 10,000 subscribers. I also want to mention that these stats are crazy. Over 90% of you watching this are not subscribed. That's the easiest and freest way you can provide support. I appreciate it. If you have been following this channel for a while, you know that I love making these watches look good. But this time I wanted to do something different. This right here is a $100 homage to a military classic. It's based on something called the Dirty Dozen. These were 12 watchmakers chosen by the British Ministry of Defense during World War II to build tough watches for soldiers. Original Dirty Dozen watches now sell for thousands on eBay. Collectors love them. I got this Baltany watch from AliExpress a couple of months ago. It wears nicely, looks good, has a quartz movement, and has a sapphire crystal. It is one thing to copy a watch's design, but can this cheap homage survive some basic backyard work, water, and the dings and dents of daily life? Let's take a look. So I started simple. In the backyard, there is this one spot that always gets muddy. It's the perfect test ground. I dropped the watch right into it. It was wet, grass, and mud. I dug up a little and tossed it in. Then I hit it with the hose at full pressure to let the water and mud mix up and do their thing. I left it there for a few hours just to see what would happen. When I picked it up later, it looked like, well, just mud everywhere. But it still looked good, like a new watch that had just fallen in the mud, you know, and just needed a wash. The dial was still easy to read, there was no fog inside, the second hand was still ticking. The crown looked sealed with no signs of water sneaking in. However, after the first test, the strap didn't hold up very well. The sides of the strap started coming off. I began to think that this cheap watch was already starting to show cracks. But it's not a big deal though. The strap is an easy fix. After some cleanup, this thing looked brand new. For a $100 watch, that's kind of impressive. And honestly, it made me curious how far this thing can go. So I kept going. Alright, so this part wasn't exactly planned. At first, I was just going to freeze the watch overnight. Maybe 24 hours or so, just enough to see if the cold would mess with the movement or fog up crystal or something. It was a simple test, but then I forgot about it. Life got busy and the watch stayed in the freezer for 3 whole days, 72 hours, completely frozen inside a solid block of ice. At that point, I figured it was toast. I mean, it's not some high-end diver or military-grade beast. It's a $100 homage. It wasn't built for deep freeze missions. When I pulled it out, I'm not going to lie, it was kinda cool to see the frozen leather strap through the ice. I wondered if it could still be ticking. I wish I had kept the dial showing through the ice. It would have been a cool shot to see a watch ticking inside a block of frozen ice. The ice was thick and cloudy, so now I had to get it out. I took it out to the driveway and started breaking the ice. But first I needed to get that slow motion shot of ice smashing on the concrete. Let me know if you prefer watching more torture tests of watches like this. I really enjoyed doing this review. Also, what other types of tests can you come up with for these watches so we can try? Okay, back to the ice smashing. After the first drop on the concrete, half of the watch's dial was visible through the broken ice. And then I noticed the time was still accurate at 2 in the afternoon of a hot, humid day here in Texas. It was ticking, still frozen in the ice. The second hand was moving smooth, steady, like it didn't even care. That is kind of impressive though. So who knew Chinese-made watches are actually tough, you know? Anyways, I threw the ice block again on the concrete trying to get the watch out. At first I was gentle, just trying to crack around the edges, but the watch was really stuck in there. I was being careful not to hit the watch directly, just the ice. A few full-on hits. Eventually I broke the watch loose. After watch was fully out, the crystal started fogging up. Not because it leaked, just because it was freezing cold and the hot air hit it like a soda can out of a fridge. And somehow it was still ticking. No cracks in the glass, no weird damage to the case, and movement still solid, like it didn't spend 3 days in a frozen cave. That's when I realized this little watch might be tougher than it looks. And honestly, that's what I love about watches, right? Like no updates, no notifications, no charging, just doing their job quietly every second, every day. When like this holds up, it's more than a tool. It feels like a memory. It becomes a time capsule, a memory sealed up in steel and crystal, something that might outlive us and still tell the story. But we're not done yet. I had one more test in mind, and it is the worst one yet. All right, last test, took it out front with a camera and a mic. I wanted to hear what happens when a watch gets run over by a car. Not just see it, but also hear it. The sound of pressure, steel, and crystal meeting the road. I don't know why I was oddly excited for this part. First up, strap still on, watch lying flat. I backed the car over it. Then I rolled forward again. And you know what? Nothing. Not even a scratch. The thing looked exactly the same. I was kind of disappointed, not gonna lie. The test was too easy. So I stepped it up. Took the strap off. Now it was serious. Laid the watch with the case back down on the rough asphalt. Rolled the car over it again. This time I heard it. From inside the driver's seat, I could hear this crunch. It was sharp, like glass on rock, kind of sharp. It actually sounded like something shattered. I got out and checked. Just some scratches on the back. They were deep scratches, but no cracks. Still ticking. Now it was time for the ultimate test. This time I flipped the watch over, face down. The sapphire crystal making direct contact with the road. If you didn't know, sapphire is supposed to be incredibly tough, like second only to diamond on the Mohs hardness scale. That's a 9 out of 10, by the way. To put it into perspective, plastic is around a 2, mineral glass is about a 5 or 6, and steel tops out around a 4. Sapphire, it's in another league. But this was real life, not a lab. I wanted to see if it could take a full weight of a sedan rolling over it. So I did it. I drove over the watch with the crystal down. And man, my heart was pounding. The sound, brutal. Crunch and glass shattering. Sat in the car for a second thinking, yep, that's it. I broke it. Came out, picked it up, and it survived. One deep scratch across the crystal, a few light scuffs, but no shatter. Still ticking, not bad at all. I'm not sure if sapphire can be polished like mineral glass. Some say yes with diamond paste, some say no. So if you know, let me know in the comments. I have scratched mineral crystals just from bumping into kitchen counter. This took a car and came out with just one battle scar. This test wasn't just fun, it actually made me appreciate sapphire even more. Like we always read specs and just assume it means something, but it's moments like this when you see it, hear it, and feel it, and you understand what those specs actually do in real life. And maybe more than anything, it reminded me why I love watches. Because they are not just pretty, they're strong. They hold stories, they take beatings, they stick around. It's cool to have a watch that looks good, it's cooler when it can take a hit and keep going. So after all of that, the mud, the ice, the asphalt, the full weight of a car, you'd expect this watch to look wrecked. But somehow it still looks kind of good. And it's not just luck, the specs on this thing are actually solid. It's got a 36mm case made from 316L stainless steel, the same stuff used in more expensive watches. It's got that clean military field watch shape, classic and simple, super wearable. The leg to leg is around 43-44, which fits perfectly on my 6.7-inch wrist. It's just compact, well-fitted case. It's about 12.2mm thick, including the dome sapphire crystal. It feels strong but not heavy. It gives off that vintage vibe without being too chunky. Speaking of that crystal, yeah, it is sapphire. After everything it went through, I am honestly surprised it's still in one piece. One deep scratch, a few smaller scuffs, but no cracks. Still clear when you're looking at the dial straight on. I don't even see those scratches when looking at the dial. Only when I tilt my wrist and the light hit the crystal, that's when I can see the scratches. Inside, it is powered by a Seiko VD78 quartz movement, a solid proven movement. The fact that it kept ticking through freezing temperatures and tire pressure says a lot about how tough it really is. The dial, it's a matte inky black with just enough texture to make it interesting. The hands are sharp and polished and they catch the light perfectly. Even after everything, they still shine. The faux patina lume gives it that old school look, but it's not overdone. The small subdials at 6 looks great. I have another Orient small second dress watch, which I also really like. The lume here is Swiss Super Luminova. Even the leather NATO strap held up. I don't think it's a genuine leather, but it went through some mud, water, and freezing temps and didn't fall apart. Just that little side coming off during the first test, the water pressure and mud. And that's it. I will probably switch it later, but it earned its place in this test. So yeah, after 3 tough tests, this watch survives. Most importantly, it proves that these AliExpress brands have more than specs on paper. They're actually well-made watches. Maybe next time we can do a water depth test. If you can come up with some interesting tests, I can try them. Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, consider liking and subscribing. I will see you guys on the next one. Until then, take care.